We're taking you to Queen's Park next. Premier Doug Ford speaking just moments ago after the country's premiers met virtually with the Prime Minister about President-elect Donald Trump's tariff threats. Our Mark McAllister is standing by, and Mark, Ford has arguably been the most outspoken premier on this issue. What did he have to say?
Coming out of this meeting, we can say that it was pretty dark, very dire in terms of the mood that has come from this meeting as a result of what was discussed around the table among the First Ministers and the Prime Minister. Premier Ford more or less saying that they're expecting the tariffs from Donald Trump to actually happen, and as a result that they're going to have to retaliate in one way or another. Leading up to this meeting, we knew that part of it was going to be about how to beef up border security, which is something that Trump has asked for to try and avoid those 25% tariffs. $1 billion was discussed as part of this meeting going into the meeting, and what can be done with that? Well, they've talked about obviously beefing up the security guards, using new technology, perhaps drones. Premier Ford talking about the use of a helicopter along the Detroit-Windsor border over the water there. So the talk of border security is certainly there, but when it comes to tariffs, that's where it gets dire. It sounds like they want to be able to retaliate in one way or another, to the point where Premier Ford is talking about cutting off energy to the United States. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
We'll use every tool in our toolbox, including cutting them off energy that we're sending down there. Folks, this is coming. It's not if it is, it's coming. And it's coming January 20th or 21st. And we need to be prepared. We need to stand as a country. We need to stand united as Canadians and work hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder with our colleagues across the country, and we're ready to do it.
So back to that Team Canada approach to things, but it's a matter of continuing to put their heads together to figure out how exactly they're going to do that. More discussions to come. We do know that all the premiers across the country are going to be in Toronto starting Sunday. They will have another meeting here on Monday as well, and we will find out more about what they're able to come up with. At the same time, we've been told that Prime Minister Trudeau as well as Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland are going to be coming up with a list of perhaps some things that Canada can do as a whole. So this is progressing and will continue to probably over the course of the next month, and as Premier Doug Ford said, right up until Donald Trump's inauguration as the next President of the United States.
Okay, Mark,
Cynthia.
I'm sure you're going to be following that very closely, but hang on just a moment there. There's another Queen's Park story to catch you up on. A group of cyclists, as you know, are taking the Ford government to court over its plan to rip out some of Toronto's bike lanes. Members of Cycle Toronto say removing the bike lanes from Bloor, University and Yonge Streets would violate the Charter of Rights by putting cyclists' lives at risk. Cycle Toronto is now seeking an injunction to prevent the bike lanes from being ripped out. Ontario's Transportation Minister has said that officials hope to move quickly to take out the lanes, but that a contractor for the work has not been chosen yet. So, Mark, you've been following this bike lane saga for weeks now. What do you make of this latest chapter?
Well, certainly the next possible step that any group can take at this point, but we do know at this point the legislation has passed. What happens next, we're not quite sure in terms of what is actually going to take place, when those bike lanes are actually going to be removed. So this is the next only available option possibly to these groups. I did have a chance to actually speak with Transportation Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria this afternoon, and he stuck to his guns. He basically said we can't let 1% of the population dictate what families are going to be able to do when it comes to gridlock in this city. That's the number that they're sticking to, and as a result of that, you know that they're not going to let any threat of legal action going to get in their way.
All right, Mark, thank you.